Hello, everyone. Welcome to my next installment of Stories That Bring Remedies to Life. Today's story is a little bit different in that it covers two remedies, the first being sulphur and the second being a mystery, hidden remedy. So hopefully you may guess it before the end of the story. It's a murder mystery investigation and it's called A Dress to Die For. Sully surveyed the crime scene. On the floor lay a woman in her 30s with a kitchen knife protruding from her chest. This was the third murder in as many days in a small rural village where normally the most exciting headline news was a shop closing down. That morning, Sully had been surprised to find the local police chief officer knocking on his door. Sully had opened the door, his shirt half hanging out and his hair that had yet to see a comb. Behind him were tables piled high with papers and books, and kitchen worktops that were covered in dirty plates and empty takeaway containers. Chief Rawlins surveyed Sully and his surroundings and appeared to hesitate as if he'd changed his mind. Sully, normally I wouldn't ask for your help, but we're a small police force that are ill-equipped to deal with the spate of murders that you must have heard of. If my memory serves me correctly, weren't you the foremost professor of forensic science at the University of Kent a few years ago? Sully's past flashed through his mind. Yes, he had been a top forensic science professor, and he had successfully led many investigations in high-profile cases. Until that fateful last case where he led everybody in the wrong direction, blindly ignoring the suggestions of his team. So confident was he of his own judgment. He had grown lazy, allowing his past successes to feed his ego instead of doing the detailed groundwork. The painful consequence was another murder that could have been avoided. Sully had failed spectacularly and resigned his post forthwith. He packed up all his belongings and moved to this small village where he now lived. His days were spent drinking himself into oblivion and staying away from everybody, preferring to be alone with his tormenting thoughts of his failure and its dire consequences. Sully felt he was a lost soul who could never be forgiven. "You've got the wrong man. Just leave me alone," said Sully, irritated by the chief. He started closing the door, but Rawlins had other ideas and pushed forward past Sully into the house. "Please, just take a look at the crime scene photos and tell me what you think. 3 women, 3 days and 3 murders. Everybody is breathing down my neck to find the culprit so that they can feel safe again." Rawlins cleared the table and spread out the photos. "We only have photos for the first 2 murders. The third one is yet to be catalogued." All 3 women were found lying in their kitchens with a knife in their chests. The 3 women were known to be friends and had recently moved to the village to work in a cyber data company nearby. Sully moved towards the photos. He groaned. What if he couldn't help? What if he made the wrong choices again? He couldn't have another death on his conscience. But what if he didn't help and the murders continued? It had been a long time since he had looked at anything that resembled a murder investigation. He'd buried that part of himself a long time ago when he resigned. But looking at the photos now, he felt the spark of curiosity inside him, awakening a thrill he thought had long since died. As he pored over the images, he was confused. Why are they wearing similar dresses? We wondered that as well. Apparently, all three of them were soon to be bridesmaids for an old friend. The strange thing is that they only appear to have put on the dresses just before they were killed, as their own clothes were lying in a heap nearby. The third woman was in her bridesmaid's dress too. We've checked, and there are no other bridesmaids, but just to be safe, we put an officer outside the bride's house. Sully stared hard at the photos of the women in their dresses, and he noticed a small brown stain on each of the dresses near the shoulder. Have you sent the dresses off to forensics? Did you notice those brown stains? Yes, the dresses have been sent apart from today's. Sully was suddenly impatient to start working on the case, his mind already full of ideas. I need to see today's crime scene, he said. Let's get going. A deep rumble came from his stomach, reminding Sully that he hadn't eaten yet. He looked at the clock, 11 a.m. Like clockwork, every day, this was the time he began to feel hungry. In the kitchen, he pushed aside the dirty plates and the empty food containers, and he found a packet of sweet, sticky buns. He proceeded to take one and took bites of it as he walked with the chief to his car, oblivious of the crumbs that fell onto his shirt and the floor below. Now, back at the crime scene, Sully noticed the same brown stain on the third woman's dress. He looked closely with a magnifying glass, and he could see that the fabric around the stain was stiffer and not ruffled and crinkled like the rest of the fabric. Her hair was dishevelled, and looking at the photos of the other women, he could see that their hair was similar too. He burped loudly, attracting the surprised gaze of the other officers at the crime scene. That sticky bun that he'd eaten was repeating on him, leaving a sour taste in his mouth. He knew he should stop eating them, but they were the only things that gave him pleasure. Walking carefully around the kitchen, Sully noticed the dead woman's calendar on the fridge. Have you compared the women's diaries? Sully asked. Yes, they work together, as I mentioned. So we've got an officer investigating at the company and asking questions from their colleagues. They also had a few meetings with the dressmaker and the bride, but I don't have the resources to send to question the dressmaker. She's over 40 miles away. I've also sent an officer to protect and question the bride as well. Sully was keen to keep working on the case. Why don't we go to the dressmakers while we're waiting for the results from forensics? The dressmaker's shop was in another small village off the beaten track. It was as if time had stood still. The shop had a faded original sign, Mrs. Tilly's Dresses. And in the windows were posters of old 1950s outfits with the prices in shillings. The bell tinkled as they opened the door, and a sweet odour of fabric softener and perfume hit Sully. But underneath it, he caught a whiff of an unusual, faint metallic smell. It stirred something from his study days, but he couldn't quite pinpoint the source. A man in his 40s came forward towards them. Droplets of sweat glistened on his face, trailing down to mingle with saliva that drooled from the corner of his mouth. He emitted a pungent, sour odour, a mix of perspiration and that metallic taint Sully had smelled earlier. There were red ulcer-like sores on his lips, and what little hair he had left was unkempt. Not the sales staff you expected in a prim and proper dressmaker's. "How can I help you? I'm afraid the owner is away for a week and she won't be back till tomorrow." The man's voice was hoarse. As he got closer, Sully caught a whiff of his breath, a cadaverous smell that reminded him of too many crime scenes. Chief Rawlins stepped forward. "I'm Chief Rawlins with the local police, and this is Sully. He's assisting with the investigation." "Shame the owner's not here today. We really would like to question her about the murders of the 3 bridesmaids nearby. You must have heard." "Yes, a terrible tragedy, and so young." "Did you see them here? I believe they came in last Wednesday. Do you work here?" "I'm just covering for the owner. I rent the workshop below. I'm a traditional milliner. The name's Orrin Mercer." "Last Wednesday, you say?" Let me think. "No, I don't think I was here. I'm usually down in my workshop. I never see the customers unless they order a hat too." Images of the women flashed through Sully's mind, particularly their messy hair, which now, when he thought about it, looked as if something had been pulled off their heads. Sully looked at the man. "I believe they picked up their dresses last week. Did they order hats too?" That's where we'll stop at part 1 of the story. I hope you enjoyed that, and I wonder if you've got any ideas as to what the hidden remedy is. And let me know if you enjoyed it, and I shall be posting part 2 very soon, where we'll reveal the killer and the hidden remedy too. So watch this space. Thank you.